हरि ओम। ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयम् नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पातञ्जलि प्राञ्जलिना नतोऽस्मि। हरि ओम। Today is Mahasamadhi Din of Gurudeva, the day on which Gurudeva merged with everything. No destination can be pointed for the self-realized soul. At the best, from the illusory point of view, we can say Gurudeva dropped the matter vestures in his own words. If I have to use his words, he dropped his matter vestures and he was where he was. Yatatatma, the one with single pointed dedication and enormous efforts over many births, decided after realization to merge into the entirety, to merge with the consciousness. And if the consciousness pervades us always, Gurudeva, by his tattva, he is pervading us. All we need to do is to become tattva vetta. And the journey for that is to get out of the trap that we have created for ourselves. The machine that creates this trap is the mind. The almighty mind is the only thing that we need to tackle. There is nothing else in this world. In fact, the very perception of this world is in my mind. I don't have to do anything with the world, because howsoever I may try to catch the reflection, I will never be able to do so unless I catch the source of light. The one who has decided seriously to explore the life in a different way. We are not worried and talking about those who are immersed in the world. It may sound to us that how pessimistic spiritualists are, how pessimistic is the ideology of Patanjali Maharaj. He never talks about taking interest in this world. What is wrong in marrying? What is wrong in having children? What is wrong in eating good food? What is wrong in having little bit of enjoyment in life? Why the life has to be so barren the way it is described in Yoga Sutra? I have friends, they come over, we enjoy the time, a lovely time in the company of our good friends. Occasionally, I do indulge in some amount of alcohol or good food. I'm not harming anyone. I'm listening to the music. I'm wearing good clothes. What is wrong about this? The reason why we think on these lines, again, needs a deeper thinking. All these so-called normal norms are nothing else but the etiquettes that are decided by a couple of minds coming together. There was a time in India during 2nd, 3rd century, which is called as the golden period of India, the period called Gupta period, in which every Nagarika, every citizen, was allowed to have a mistress. And the mistress was given a good status in the society. If you have read the drama Mruchakateka, which depicts this particular society, it was common for the people to have his family, his wife, and also have another woman in the life, and was accepted by the society. So much so that during Buddha's period, there was a prostitute who was extremely rich and was employing as many as a couple of thousand women for the service of men, and she had a good status in society. So the norms that we decide, which are time-oriented, agreed by the society. Today's society agrees that anyone can keep browsing on the phone and play the games, even if they are violent, and even if the child is indulging into it, because our norms are permitting it. The Western norm permits indulgence in alcohol. So the norms that are decided by the society for the group of people, do they decide what is right and wrong, or the norms that are realized by the soul that has expanded into the complete consciousness? That is something we need to understand. And on the backdrop of this, all the rules and regulations, the norms given by Patanjali Maharaj, which appear to be very, very restrictive for us, are the norms needed for another world. We are in the false world. Orally, we may say so and we may listen to it, but think deeply, contemplate on this aspect of Patanjali Maharaj's angle of thinking, that you can either be in this world of yours or you have to be out of it to enjoy the another world. It means Gurudeva, after realization, was in another world, the world where the norms were totally different than the world that we are in. How do we exit from our world and enter into Gurudeva's or the realized people's world? Is the journey of Yoga Shastra, Yoga Sutra. When you know you are in the wrong city and you want to enter into El Dorado or the right city, the utopia, the first thing you do is you have to leave the wrong city. And when you leave the wrong city, you can't say that I want to be in both the cities. You can't be in both the worlds. You have to leave the place lock, stock, and barrel. You have to give up everything, every connection with this world. Then only the entry into another world becomes complete. Because the association with the wrong world is so much over the number of births, we fail to understand. Even the best of the sadhaka fails to understand what is wrong in drinking a good cup of coffee. Why should I live it? Why the norms are so strict? Why the concept of violence is so elaborate? Because we cannot think other than what you are used to thinking. A little bit of violence is bound to be there. In fact, we make rules accordingly. If the horse becomes friend to the grass, then what will he eat? This is how we make a saying out of it. But the fact is, whether we like it or not, a complete abdiction of our current thinking as well as current practices is a must if we have to enter into altogether different another place. That being the reason, Patanjali Maharaj has been very strict about what we need to avoid and what we need to do. What we need to avoid is called Yama. What we ought to do is called Niyama. First, you avoid. First, you avoid wrong things, then you inculcate right things. First, empty the jar of the dirty water, then fill in the clean water. Yama is throwing the dirty water out. Niyama is filling the clean water inside. Once this vessel of body, which is nothing else but the mind, because the body has no significance at all. It is the mind that carries 99% of the significance. The body is a supporting structure for the mind. So the mind has to be cleaned of the bad things, which is done by Yama, and has to be filled with the good things, which is done by Niyama. The process of Yama and Niyama leads to what is called as purification of mind, which is in normal parlance called as a chitshuddhi. The process of removal of dirt from the mind, which is done and attempted through the yamas, is based on a very simple yet very deep concept of non-violence or ahimsa. The concept is, if the flower is born on a tree, the norm says that the flower is supposed to bloom and give a fragrance. Now the flower, if it starts emanating bad odor, and instead of being tender starts pricking the skin, the flower has failed in performing the duty of a flower. So swabhavika niyama, the natural duty, kartavyam, for the flower is to be soft, tender, and fragrant. A stone has to be hard. The clay has to be soft. If we just observe this, we realize each constituent of the universe has certain basic sthai bhava with which that entity is born. What is this sthai bhava of the human beings? We never think about it. The sthai bhava of every constituent in this universe is to have collaborative, cooperative existence in the modality ascribed to that particular individual or the jiva by the Lord. So I am born as a human being with a mind that should not think ill about anyone. Originally, my mind is expected to be absolutely neutral about everything that is around me and not have any stamp of good or bad or any comment about the things around me. That is what I am expected to be as a constituent of the universe. Every other constituent is following what the Lord has given to them. The flower is supposed to be in the bud form and blossom into a flower. All flowers are doing this for number of years without any change. The water is supposed to flow and quench the thirst, the function that the water is performing all along without any change. A deer is supposed to jump, an elephant is supposed to walk gracefully and eat grass, a lion roars, a cat mews, a dog barks, the wind blows, the sun shines. None of the constituents of the universe have changed their functionality as ascribed to them by the Lord, maybe because of non-development of the antakarana vikasa or the consciousness level, agreed. However, the only yoni, the only species which has changed itself than what it was originally intended to be is human being, naradeha. And that is the reason why we are suffering. We are eating too much. The animals do not do so. So there is no question of obesity in animals. We suffer from it. Indulgence or overindulgence in the basic tendencies. So anna vastra nivara. The food, the clothing, and the shelter has been taken to a completely different dizzy heights, because of which we are suffering. So all the creation that what we have seen that is happening in the man's life is nothing else but overcomplication of the basic things that are there with us. Food is what we need, agreed. But what have we done to the food? We have made a huge, complicated commerce out of it, and we are in the whirlpool of food. A shelter. The whole life we toil to get a shelter for ourselves, which could be a hut, which could be a palace. And all these norms of or complications are called a civilization and its development. The Yoga Sutra considers this all as overindulgence into the material world, and such a mind which is indulging into in the material world cannot be expected to get into spiritual world. That is why the attempt to get rid of the material world is an essential must for every sadhaka, so that he can enter into another realm of the world. The world that we see and we think we are in is in fact an illusion. In fact, a misnomer in comparison with what world we are supposed to be in. And when one realizes that I need to leave the world, frankly speaking, very few of us feel like leaving this world because we are so happy in this. No drunkard ever wants to give up the alcohol because what is wrong? I'm enjoying. It is only the non-alcoholic who realizes what is the folly of what he is doing. He wants to be constantly under the influence of alcohol because it gives a feeling to him that he is happy. We are all under the influence of an alcohol called materialism, where we feel happy under the influence of material world, and we constantly endeavor to get newer and newer bouts and doses of the material world in order to keep us perpetually intoxicated and apparently happy. That's why a thought comes to the mind that all this which is told in Patanjali Yoga Sutra is quite theoretical. It's not practical. It's not possible. Unfortunately, the truth doesn't ask you what you think. Truth is truth. It exacts a cup full of blood from the sadhaka. Arduous will be sadhana. How much is the effort required by the person who is drowning in the water? It depends on how much deep he is in the water. More deep he is, he has to exercise more efforts. If he is at the bank, maybe little faster he can come out. That is why sadhana or the spiritual practice depends on how deep you are in this material world. And that being the reason, Instead of advising one single individual in respect with his own conditions, the great rishis like Patanjali Maharaj gives us a common tool to come out of this material world, in which he says, if you really are interested, if you are really, really serious about what you are doing, and better be serious, otherwise don't get into Adhyatma anymore. Why cheat ourselves? Why try to say Gurudev ki Jai, Maharaj ki Jai? But what about you, sir? You have been saying Jai for so long. What changes have come in you? How much transformation has happened in you? I am the same that I was when I joined the Chinmaya Yuva Kendra. Then what have you achieved, sir? By simply putting the uniform of a school, you are not going to learn the knowledge. Agreed, the uniform has a value, but that's a very minuscule value. Every now and then we keep talking about how great Gurudeva was, how great Gurudeva was. Gurudeva is great. He doesn't require endorsement from us. Ask a question, what about me? When am I going to be on the path of Gurudeva? And to do this, Patanjali Maharaj has told us, start doing Yama. Yama is avoidance. Avoidance means follow the things so that you avoid the bad things. And the followings, the acts that you ought to do is ahimsa. Do not do himsa. And forget about all the concepts in the mind about himsa. Killing somebody, slapping somebody, sir, it is out of question. Such a person will not be in the Patanjali class. Moment you think of ahimsa, focus on your thoughts. Any thought other than thought that is pertaining to Atma Jnana is himsa. When can I double my investment in shares? What has happened is, investing in shares is not bad. But the thought that I should be getting more money has resulted into a continuous thinking of that particular thought. And if such thoughts keep galloring in the mind is filled with the thoughts of acquiring. The acquisition of anything requires depriving somebody else. Somebody has to lose in the share market for you to gain. So what you are doing is actually you are praying for somebody's loss. We don't even realize it. As a result, in an indirect manner, we are responsible for somebody's welfare or somebody's doom. In such a case, the violence is getting perpetrated without even we knowing it, because our norms tell us that there's nothing wrong in what I am doing. And if your thoughts are going to go in this direction, you are completely ill-prepared for the mind to take into the other world. So, cutting off is a must. Gurudeva could have thought that let me carry on with journalistic career and simultaneously try for Brahmajnan. Why he has to completely give up everything? Think about this. Gurudeva's life journey is itself a kind of Upanishad if studied into the right earnest. Is it not that his mind must have told him to be with his family, which was illustrious, as well as young man, successful, a good sportsman, an excellent command on English, respected in the Delhi high circles, naturally there will be girls around, getting married to one of them and be settled and be recognized by all the society, and yet with sharp brain keep studying the Bhagavad Gita. Why is it that he did not think this manner, but he thought that I must give up everything and then only I can pursue? That means he took a decision in favor of giving up everything. Think on this. We always compromise. We say a little bit of my samsara, a little bit of adhyatma. Sir, what is the percentage of samsara or the worldly things in your life will decide how much progress you will make. I'm a good man. I'm helping people. I'm having my family and I also read Bhagavad Gita. Fair enough. You are better than the one who is not reading, but this is not enough to reach the destination. Again, another birth will come, a little bit of more vairagyam, and then you will say that, all right, in this birth, I have less attachments. Another birth will come, less attachment. And a birth comes and you decide not to marry. Another birth comes and you decide to just leave the home and go to the Himalayas. It's a gradual progression towards giving up everything that has to do with this world and enter into another world. Does that mean I should keep quiet and let the water flow the way it is flowing? No. Prayatna is Parameshwara. Effort has to be there. In fact, the name Yati has come from Yata. Yata means Yatna, effort. Vivekananda is called as Yatiraj, the king of effort making. Enormous effort are required. The examination requires a full preparation to stand first. No, but I am doing little bit of preparation. You will get little bit of marks. That is why the yamas have to be seen in the entirety of what the Maharaj, Patanjali Maharaj is saying. We saw last time what is ahimsa and what is satya. The third yama is asteya. Stena is stealing. Now again, the way we think ahimsa means not to slap anybody, which is an absurd expression of ahimsa. Astaya means not to steal anybody's money. We will never steal it, sir. We are very decent people. Why would you barge into somebody's house and steal the things? That is not what the meaning of astaya is expected. The Vakya definition of Astaya is ashastra purvakam dravyanam parataha swikaranam steyam. Against the spiritual science, the Shastra, the Vedas, dravya means anything that is gratifying. Dhana is direct expression of dravya, but dhana alone is not dravya. A lady can be a dravya for a man. A cattle can be a dravya for somebody. A possession can be in, even the water bottle can be a dravya if you are thirsty. If you accept from anyone doesn't mean human being, even the charachara, when it is ashastra purvaka, it is called asteya. You want flowers for the worship, so you go and pluck the flower from the tree. Is it a shastra purvaka? Or you take the flower that has fallen off the tree and use it for puja. Again, as Patanjali Maharaj says, amongst the 5 yamas, the Satya, Astaya, Brahmacharya and Aparigraha are nothing else but expression of Ahimsa only. Ahimsa is the base. Now I am trying to steal something or take something which is not mine. I am actually inflicting Himsa. If your finger, when it is cut off from your body, if it can pain, what makes you think that the tree is not crying? While walking on the street, you feel like pelting a stone at the dog. What makes you think that the dog is not suffering? So anything that is not yours. Mahatma Gandhi used this concept in the early formative years. Read about his days in South Africa and his experiments with diet. He realized that even the diet, for that matter, Lord has given the diet to us in a certain forms. The nuts that are matured on the tree, when they are sun-dried, that is the right diet for us. So he was on this diet for almost 6 months. Not even using Agni to fry the nuts, but using sun-dried nuts. Look at the diet of most of the sadhus in Himalayas or other places. Some fruits, some milk. The reason why cow is so revered in Hinduism is she gives milk after feeding her calf to us. So asking is out of question. In Astaya, non-stealing even in thoughts. What is non-stealing in thoughts, sir? I will give you an example. While speaking and delivering lectures on Adhyatma, sometimes people say, Dr. Saab, you spoke very well. And what happens in the mind? I feel happy. And I also feel, yes, I have got the prowess to speak. This is Astaya, misappropriation. How? This instrument is used for speaking. Agreed, all right. But who is giving the speech? Who is doing the dhi bhargaha? It is he. Can a postman take the pride in the fact that he has a lakh of rupees when the money order comes? No. The money is sent by somebody to somebody. You are carrying it because you are a postman. So postman is not the owner of the money order. Similarly, the speaker, Vakta, is a conduit to communicate godly things coming from the God to the people around. Dwara abhito jagato jagati stravantu. Through me to the world around. The pledge, pratidnya of our mission. So Astaya need not be only misappropriation in money. The frank and blatant corruption is a complete no-no. Such a person has got no place to sit in Patanjali class. We are talking of Astaya of a very high order. These yamas are instruments which are applicable to the lowest jiva, even to the highest jiva. In Himalayas, suppose I go, Now I need a place there. So I saw a cave and I sat there and started meditating, started staying there. After a few days, one person came. He was also a sadhu and he tells me, Swamiji, can I sit with you? And I say, okay, no problem. You can take that side and sit there. What happened, sir? I already considered this cave as mine. And I told him, you can take that corner because this corner belongs to me. What happened? The cave belonged to Himalayas. I took the ownership. Stay happened. See the level at which we are talking of Astaya. Suddenly we feel, oh, that is too difficult. It is too high a standard. Sir, the standard is too high because you cannot have material world and spiritual world together. You have to give this up. Then the question comes, sir, if you have to give this up, then how Gurudeva was in this? After you enter the spiritual world, you know how to behave in this world, then you can come back. There is no problem. Once you have a protective covering on your body, then you can mix with anyone. A person whose immunity is great, he can mix with any crowd. But a person who is sick should get away from the crowd. Yamas are the modalities to tell us how to behave in this world so that you can extricate yourself. You are embedded. You should extricate yourself from this world. So Astaya means aspruha rupam. What is a spruha? Spruha means want. Astaya, when do you steal? First you have to have a desire, then you steal. See, appropriation is possible only when you desire the appropriation. First thing is to desire there. So that is why nispruhata. Asking for something for a sadhaka is out of question. Please do not ask. मांगन मरण समान है, मत मांगियो भीख, मांगन से मरण भला है, सतगुरु की सीख. See our life, see everything depends on how you analyze your own life. Just think in our own life, what do we do? Let me see, I have a friend there. If he helps me, I haven't going to go India. I hope my friend gives me a car there. And there is something, everywhere we are dependent. Dependence leads to asking. Try to be independent. Then how can you be independent? You have so many demands, you have to be dependent. Then reduce the demands, sir. I'm going there, what will happen to my food? Eat whatever comes your way. Why bother others? Na rahega baas, na rahegi basuri. Continuously, you can always think yourself that you are in Himalayas, even though you're sitting in your home. Have that attitude. That doesn't mean you don't speak to your wife and children. Keep giggling at them, keep laughing. But remember, sir, it's all a drama. You're acting. Because constantly, if the thought is in introspection and self-analysis, you will realize that reduce your needs. There are people who are so stupid that they expect their wife to cook only that vegetable and this vegetable, and I don't like that fruit, and I like this, and I like what? How many likes and dislikes you have, sir? If you have likes, you will be disliked by the spirituality. Accept whatever comes. And you train your mind for acceptance. I don't like the neem patta. I don't like karela. I don't like bitter things. Eat bitter things. The mind will get used to it. Whatever comes your way, fold your hands, accept it. Do not react. The reason is, if I have to reduce my desire, I have to reduce my demand, then it is better I try to be independent. All this market gossip of networking is all a shop talk for spirituality. Mind well, you are where you are because of your own efforts. And those who help you to reach this place helped you because of Runanubandha, not because of networking. You did not create the networking. The networking got created because of previous births Runanubandha. Pradeep ji brought me into Bhagavad Gita class here. I am definitely grateful to him. But the Runanubandha with this class was there since earlier. This is not networking. No need to be goody-goody with many people so that in future he could be of some use to me. Sir, again demand, you are getting trapped into the world. A false fame coming to you also say it is not mine. I'll give example of Mahatma Gandhi. There were many attempts on his life even before the actual attempt by Nathuram Godse. Once in Delhi, one of the first attempts when there was a bomb that was to be hurled at him by Madan Lal Pahawa, in the morning meeting with the closed eyes, Bapu was sitting for the morning prayers and there was a huge explosion. The bomb, instead of exploding in the place where Bapu was sitting, exploded behind. When this happened, everybody got up and started running helter-skelter while Bapu remained at his own place. With closed eyes, he did not even open the eyes. Next day, in the newspaper, it came that how great Bapu is because he closed his eyes and was not at all disturbed by the sound. Now, this is an appreciation that came to Bapu, but because he was a Astaya follower, he immediately said, I'm sorry, you're mistaken. I thought they were firecrackers, that's why I continued closing my eyes. It is not that I am so great that I was not scared. This is called Satya and Astaya, not misappropriating any kind of appreciation which doesn't belong to him. Then comes Brahmacharya. One of the most misunderstood concept in Yama is of Brahmacharya. Moment we say Brahmacharya, immediately the control of genital organs comes into the picture. Rightfully so. Brahmacharya, definition wise, the one who is constantly trying to or attempting to be in Brahma, that is in the realization of Brahma or Brahma Pada, is Brahmacharya. All right. The definition, if we see, of Brahmacharya, upasthasya guptendriyasya sanyamaha brahmacharyam. Now, upastha is genital organ. Guptendriya, why two times? Upastha and Guptendriya. That is because the most Gupta Indriya is mind. These are obvious Indriyas. The five are obvious Indriyas. The Manam, Antakarana, is the Gupta Indriya. Now, where is the maximum effect of mind on the Indriya? Mind propels the Indriyas into action, isn't it? The first thing, thought comes into the mind, and or suppose eyes have seen something. Simply seeing is not a problem. It is when analyzed in the mind, then it propels to continue watching it or keep walking towards it So karmendriyas are order. So ultimately, the manufacturing facility is in the mind. The rest is all raw material. Now, when the senses try to use their power to extract the bhoga out of the vishaya, it preoccupies the mind. And what is our basic concept in Yoga Shastra? Keep the mind free of the dirt so that it can be filled with good things and then used for the right purpose. The continuous flow of dirty water is coming from the senses. When are we going to empty it? And when are we going to then fill it up? That means the indriyas have to be trained, including mind, for throwing bad things. Then the question of good things coming in comes into the picture. Now, amongst the senses are most difficult to control. We all agree with that. We have to agree with that. They are enemies of highest order. Why? They have been tuned that way by us for a very long time. See, in the animals also, the mating happens. But we don't see animal sitting at the corner to watch the lady animal walking by. It doesn't happen. They have seasons of mating. The mating happens. The moment the mating season is over, even if the female animal is moving around, they don't even look at her. They like she's treated like a normal, like a male. Why is it that the human beings have this tendency? Even while reading, if there's some description about a woman, immediately the person's, he's not in the book anymore. He starts thinking, imagining. The thought, in fact, psychologically, psychologists have studied. It is quite shocking to know, but you can check with the medical journals. In a day of 24 hours, a day cycle, there are a couple of times the erections are there, including sleep. The thought of sex from the mind is the most difficult thought to take out. All senses have gratified us and have created deep impression, but the deepest impression comes from the sexual thought. Why? Because amongst these sensual indulgences, the one with maximum concentration is sexual indulgence. And because there is maximum concentration, it has given us maximum happiness. In fact, the highest happiness that we have experienced is called Maithuna Nanda. The Shastriya Grantha, like Vichara Sagara Rahasya, has clearly measured the quantum of happiness as Maithunananda. So then they say there is Brahmananda. So 1,000 times Maithunananda is this, then 1,000 times that is called Swargananda. So there is a gradation of Ananda. The lower level Ananda, which is highest for the human beings, is called Maithunananda, or the sexual pleasure. So sir, there is no denying the fact that the highest Ananda we get is sexual pleasure. Higher the Ananda, higher is the impression in the mind, the samskar in the mind. Deeper the samskar in the mind will always go towards that because he wants to re-enjoy it. So all sensual pleasures create a trap which leads us to again and again stretch towards that particular Ananda. So there is an agraha of that experience. Agraha means please have it again. So what we need to do is we need to work on the mind to say No, I don't want to have it. Nigraha. It is called Indriya Niyamana or Nigraha. Then the adjustment philosophy comes in our mind. A little bit of sexual pleasure, what is wrong in it? I'm married, then why? This a little, it is all part of, in Vyavahar, she's fiancé. How can, sir, Yoga Shastra says no. And a no means a no. Why so strict? Because you can't have Bhog and Yoga together during sadhana stage. After realizing the Brahman, after reaching the Kaivalya, then you may have Bhog with Yoga. That is called Bhog me Yoga Jatana. All the realized souls, Swamiji very happily enjoyed the rice and papadam. This I have heard from the mouth of Subodhanandji when I was at Siddhabari. He was telling it to somebody else and I heard it. Dilipji was also there during that meeting. Does that mean that he was attracted to the sense of the palate because he asked for the rice and papadam? Sir, a yogi knows how to do the bhogam. But how it is possible? I also call for the rice and the papadam and he also called. So what is difference between? There is a difference, sir. The difference cannot be understood unless you realize the Brahman. There is somebody who is expert in swimming in the water full of crocodiles. He is expert. Now, can you apply the same rule to a common man? He will be killed by the crocodiles. No, but what about that man? He's also swimming, sir. He knows how to swim with even when the crocodiles are infesting the water. Because he has an expertise. That expertise comes only after a realization. Tukaram Maharaj, the saintly person who was constantly in Brahmibhuta Avastha, when he passed away, his wife was carrying a child. Narayan Swami, his son was born after his death. That means he had contact with his wife. Sir, how it is possible? He is a realized, sir, he is a realized soul. So he knows how and when to take the bhoga. Because we do not understand the aspect of bhoga, we are trying to create a yoga in the bhoga. And these realized souls, they create yoga in the bhoga. दौलत रिघे न बोलत बिसरे, भोग में योग जगाए, सो गुरु सत्य कहावे. Kabir Maharaj says, Bhog mein yoga jagaye. So we are not realized souls, so forget about everything. Now we have to come on the stricter side of avoidance of bhoga, avoidance physically. None of us go and try to grab a female outside and do some indecent act. Why? I'll be badly beaten and I'll be arrested. Physical act has got absolutely no significance. It is the mind, because nobody can watch my thoughts and they keep going always towards the woman. Similarly, other sense organs keep going towards their respective attractions. There are people who like gulab jamun. Moment gulab jamun comes, or even somebody mentions, you aapne naam liya, you took that name. I love it so much. Sir, what is happening? That is because We are not practicing what is called as brahmacharya. And to practice brahmacharya, you have to be completely away from it. There is nothing like a little bit talk I made with a lady. So little bit talk. Why do you think Swami Vivekananda told all brahmacharis not to allow a lady visitor coming for the darshan of Ramakrishna Paramahansa not to be allowed to go to the brahmachari quarters? Surprisingly, even when Sharada Ashram was formed, the female monks were there. Even today, Ramakrishna Mission doesn't allow the male monks to go into Sharada Ashram. Only the senior sadhus go. Why? The reason is the mind is so fickle. The best of the brahmachari can become Vishwamitra and get some Menaka somewhere. So, Daksha Samhita is the book in which brahmacharyam has been referred to. Brahmacharyam sada rakshet ashtada lakshanam pruthaka. There are 8 things in brahmacharyam. Smaranam, kirtanam, keli prekshanam, guhya bhashanam, sankalpam, adyavasayascha kriya nivrutti evacha, etan maithunam ashtanga pravadanti manishinaha. Viparitam brahmacharyam etat eva ashtalakshanam. In any sensory indulgence, more so in sexual indulgence, remembering. See, in most of our sexual indulgences or any indulgence, we keep remembering. Ah, what kind of mango was there? Ah, what was there when remember in this childhood I used to have that. Remembering, repeating. Keli prekshanam, playful activity. A look, prekshanam, even a look towards a woman, a look towards a sensuous thing. Prekshanam, guhya bhashanam, secret talk. Sankalpam, thought. Adyavasaya, determination or nishchaya about a particular thing. Kriya, act, including Maithuna. All this is to be avoided because these are 8 lakshanam of brahmacharyam. Now we understand why most of the sadhakas, or we always read, then Swamiji so and so left his home and went to Himalayas. Why? Nothing to be seen, nothing to be thought. At least the visual or the indriya's outward manifestation is blocked. So no book in the house which refers to even the milder pornographic state. That is why no reading of fiction. She came, then he looked at her, she looked at him, they liked each other. He could read in her eyes, she could read in his eyes. Sir, what is happening is while reading this fiction, your thoughts are getting matured in the similar manner. When you read Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati, what thought comes to the mind? Now there is no thought except only when the Lord comes. When you're thinking of Lord, you cannot think of any senses. Now we realize why we are constantly supposed to be immersed in satsanga or reading or this only of Lord, because that is the most neutral thing you can have. While thinking of Lord, you cannot think of senses. Think about this. You see a serial in which that lady is coming and then she is talking and they are husband-wife in that serial. But immediately what you see, oh, she's looking beautiful. Yeah, so many ornaments she's wearing. What is happening? Again, you start diving down. Now you're watching a serial and suppose there is a Krishna Bhagavan serial. What happens? Ah, Lord Krishna is coming. See now, Lord Krishna was something. What is happening? See how the thought process also changes. So get surrounded by that which will avoid this. To do that, there is a satsanga. To do that, get immersed into the Bhagavad Gita. To do that, keep attending the things. Listen to the bhajana. If you're listening to the bhajana, why would you listen to those stupid raps and other songs which would simply talk about, oh, baby and whatnot? There is nothing else said that baby word in those songs. That's why you are such a small, puny baby in spirituality. What is written in Bhagavad Gita in 6th Adhyaya, 14th Shloka? Prashantatma vigata bhihi brahmachari vrate sthitaha manasayama matchitto yukta asitaha tatparaha. Bhagavan says, brahmachari vrate sthitaha. That is the reason why brahmacharya is important. In Prashnopanishad, if you see, Pippalad Rishi was asked by many disciples, give us some upadesh. He said, go and observe brahmacharya for 1 year and then come back. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is a story about Brahma telling Indra to do 101 years of brahmacharya and then come. And mind well, all sensual enjoyments, they might have got the societal acceptance. Perfume, there is societal acceptance. Yeah, I bought a perfume. Nobody says, oh, you bought a perfume, how bad. Nobody says that. Sir, the nose is getting addicted to the perfume. That is the problem, because now it will think. You will be forced to think about the perfume the day you don't put it. That is the problem. There is a saying that death is not the problem. The yama becomes habitual. Similarly, all sensuous enjoyment. A jnana yogi shuts away all sensual enjoyments. A bhakti yogi fills, instead of avoidance also he does, but he fills it with Lord's name. Because mind requires something to eat. So you can't just keep depriving him of his sensual intelligences. Instead, give to the senses the Lord's name. You want to see something? See Gurudeva's face. 100% there will be no papam. You want to hear something? Hear about Gurudeva or bhajana, Rama bhajana, Krishna bhajana. You want to watch something? Oh, I want to watch something. What can I watch? Watch anything that is related to Lord. I want to sing something. Sing about Lord's glory. There are ways of developing brahmacharya further. We will see the details of little bit aspects of brahmacharya and then a parigraha in the next session. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnam Nidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om Sanjay ji. Any sadhaks have any clarifications, please unmute and ask.
Hari Om, Dr. Sanjay ji.
Hari Om.
As Tukaram Maharaj says, Jodoniya dhana uttama vyavahare udasa vichare vechakari. So is the exact example for Astaya? So is it one thing? And another thing, as you says, like Yama and Niyama is helping you for chitshuddhi and everything. So is the only like Yama and Niyama? Is it sufficient to reach up to samadhi level?
Hari Om. Jodoniya dhana uttama vyavahare udasa vichare vechakari is the right definition of Astaya by Tukaram Maharaj. What he says is, Jodoniya dhana, earn the money. Dhana means all type of dravya, earn. Uttama Vyavahar is Shastra Sammata. So we are not supposed to be sitting like a log. I will not indulge into any worldly activities. That is for the sannyasa. We are already in Grahastha Ashrama. So we do our duty. For example, you go and work hard at your place. What will happen? On the first of every month, you will be paid money. And that's yours. That is Uttama Vyavahar. I did my job. They paid me 4,000 dirhams. Perfectly fine. The problem is, I did not do my job, and yet I waited for the first. What happened? It is not the dhana that you are deserving. And this deserving and undeserving, right and wrong, you have to decide. Second thing is, I worked so hard and yet I am paid only 6,000 dirham. If that is the case, leave the job. Who has asked you to be on the job? You are there because you know nobody else will pay you 6. Otherwise, you would have left the very next day if you feel you are working very hard. It is only the over ambition, over want, misappropriation. Now, the society may say, what is wrong in expecting more salary? Everybody does that. Everybody does that doesn't mean it is Shastra Sammat. You get what you deserve. So you work, whatever comes your way, think it is as God's blessing as and accept it. So Astaya means accepting proportionate to what you are doing, and the most important condition is it should be Shastra Sammata. We all 4 people came together and we steal something from somewhere and we made 4 parts. I got 1/4. I'm happy. No, you're happy. You're correct. You got 1/4, but the act is wrong. It is not Shastra Sammata. So Shastra Sammata and without asking. That is the first part. And the second part is chitshuddhi is not sufficient for realizing the Brahman or the Kaivalya. Chitshuddhi is the step only after which the mind can be directed towards that particular thing. All the sadhana that you do, which was in the first pad of Patanjali Maharaj, which is Samadhi pad, is meant for those who have done the chitshuddhi. So all these higher flights of Savitarka, Sananda, Sasmita, Samadhi, going into Avyakta, all that happens only and only when the mind is completely pure. So Yama Niyama is for lower sadhaka, Nimnatar sadhaka. Then you get into the Madhyama sadhaka. In Madhyama sadhaka, you do Kriya Yoga. And then you become Uccha sadhaka. And the Uccha sadhaka then straight away goes for the higher efforts. Swami Vivekananda was a Uccha sadhaka. So when he was born, he was already into meditative state. So for him, Chitta Shuddhi was hardly required. All these people, like even Swamiji for that matter, Chitta Shuddhi was not much required because that exercise was done in the past births. They were on the secondary school and graduation. We are in primary school. So for us, 8 subjects and all that, that is required now. The highly advanced physics, etc., is meant for the graduate people. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji, Rajendran here. So Acharya Bhagavad Pada has said very precisely, very clearly, Yel labase mooda jahihi dana agama trishna, kurusat buddhi manasi vitrishna, yel labase nija karma upatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam.
Very good. Very good. Yel labase
nija karma upatam.
Nija karma upate. So that is why what I am getting now is because of Nija karma pata. Where is the question of networking? Why should I deliberately try for a networking? Fold your hands, accept what comes your way, be happy in whatever you have received. That is going to come now in Niyama. There is something called Santosha that is going to come in Niyama. We are going to see all the Niyamas later on, the Saucha, the Santosha, which are positive acts to be done. But this one, as you rightly said, Acharya is saying us that, first of all, Don't give too much importance to what is happening in your daily life. It is part of your past karma. So if it is bad karma, you will suffer. Take it, no, that way. Because you and the sufferer is different. Let the sufferer suffer. You need not get involved into it. Today, what happened? Somebody insulted me. Hari Om. I got insulted today because of my past karma. We don't think it that way. Moment there is an insult, I will see to it that I settle. What has happened? The commotion came, the dislike came, the duragraha came inside, the mind got occupied with thought. When mind gets occupied with bad thought, impression is created, sanskar will be there. This sanskar will be then forcing you to be converted into vasana. That vasana will compel you to take birth. Again you will come back, again you will start. So how long, how often? Punarapi jananam, that is what Acharya is crying. He is shouting tops. This is something which we really need to understand. Dukhiya, sukhiya sab samsar hai, khave aur sove. Dukhiya das kabir hai, jage aur rove. We are all happy. We don't even think that we are doing something wrong. It is only the people of the sadhu variety who think that this is all bad. It was Siddhartha Gautam Buddha. He thought, oh, what is this prince? What is this royal comfort? And he left. He left for adversities. Ours is a different thing. We want to do all the adhyatma without touching our comforts. I want car, house, everything. And then Gurudeva, and then a little bit of discussion, and I feel I have done a great adhyatma. No, sir. It is self-defraudment. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Sanjay ji, I have a small practical question on this. When you say everything is flowing at the will of the God, or what is said to happen, like, Now, I have come across a practical issue. One of my friend has lost his job.
Yeah.
One of his close relative is a very powerful person. He can give him an employment. Now,
Yes.
this gentleman did not go and ask him, and that gentleman did not offer him. So
Yes.
I went and asked, first I asked the person who lost the job that, why don't you just go and ask him? I said, no, if he wants it, let him give. The other person, I went and told him, so why don't you offer him job? He is without a job. He said, no, he didn't come to me. So in a standstill situation, I became a mediator, like, and ultimately. So where is this falls in the current this thing existent? I mean, stanza.
See, the thing one must understand is buddhi karma anusarena. Your buddhi will act according to your karma and previous vasanas. Now, if you are a person who are extremely of the type where you feel I shall not be taking any favors from anybody except Lord. The sannyasis, when they go out, when Gurudeva went into Uttarkashi or Tapon Maharaj went into Himalaya, did he say that, what about my arrangement of my food? Can somebody please make arrangement? I'm going for a great thing to do. No. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham is very easy to say, but very difficult. We don't have trust in Lord. That is why we do all this. Now, again, if somebody is not trying to take help because he is very egoist, then that is also a big mistake. A sadhu or a Gurudev stature person not taking anything from anybody is because of his extreme dependence on Lord alone and Lord alone. So for him, it is fine. For the rest of them, now if my buddhi tells me not to do a particular thing, that is happening because of my past karma. So this gentleman who was not asking, he may not be asking because he's feeling not good like asking him. How can I then ask him? That person is saying that he is very egoist. He should first ask me. And yet if he's supposed to get a job, there will be a third meditator like you coming in between, which is again the part of the Runanubandha. Because that gentleman has helped somebody in his past, this time you are helping him. It is always like this. No one does anything out of volition. Now comes the question, where is the scope of the effort? The scope of the effort is when a particular situation has evolved around us because of our karma. In that situation, the role ascribed has to be performed by us. For example, I got married. Why? I was to get married because of my past samskar. So I got married. Now, after I get married, if I say that, yeah, I got married, now let the Lord do what he has to do. By the very situation that I have come into this, the role that is ascribed to me, I will have to exercise what is called as my will to perform that function. A karma has given me phalam, but phalam, when I am receiving the phalam, what I'll be doing while receiving the phalam is in my hand. Whether that phalam will create another karma or whether that phalam will not create another karma, that is my choice. I am poor, that is because of my past karma. But in poverty, whether I will be happy or not, that is my freedom. You have to segregate two aspects of karma and its phalam. Karma phalam, the one that I am suffering or enjoying now, is definitely the result of my past karma. But now that I am enjoying, in that basking in the glory of that karma that has fructified now, how will I behave? That is my own construction. The sword has been given to me because of my past karma. How will I use it is my freedom. The same concept has to be carried forward in the brahmacharya as well as Astaya. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji. Thank you for this explanation. But where I sometimes I understand this intellectually, but when we talk, right, when we say that Adi Shankara and Chinmayanand Gurudev, this is all, they came into this world already having done the work, right?
Yes.
And they went there. Then we talk of how Ratnakar changed into Valmiki, or so many, right? And then we have Vishwamitra who succumbed to Menaka. Now, the explanation, I'm saying this is the intellectual explanation. I mean, for my own, I'm not being able to grasp it. Where does this fine line between past and karma and present action, and how does one distinguish that? Is when I listen to you, it seems very natural and the explanation is perfect. But when I look back at events and other, sometimes we use it in both ways. Sometimes we say, no, Ratnakar did his effort and that's why he became Valmiki. But that other time we say that no, these people have already reached a certain stage, and what effort would Adi Shankara have done? Because he, at 7, I'm just saying, he already came, and at 7 or 8 he was chanting things which. So just a little clarification will help. Sorry, it's a repeat, but
very relevant question. First thing is we need to segregate between avatar and non-avatar. Shankaracharya was an avatar. Avatar, always remember, it is God descending down, taking some prarabdha from Maya and then performing. So anyway, they are nitya mukta. So there is no question of past life, past birth, this, that. That doesn't apply to avatar at all. So just take this out from your mind, that how at the age of 6 you can have all the Vedas and Vedangas. That is only because he was God. So that is a God reincarnation. In God reincarnation, none of these rules apply. The second non-avatar is something which we should be focusing on. Now there what happens is a gradual scope of purity with us. What happens is, when you do 1% purity, it propels you for the second percentage. 2% purity propels you for the 3rd% purity. The way you go down, the adhogati and the urdhvagati, is both slowly and percentage wise. So with each successive birth, your sattva guna slowly starts rising. With every rising sattva guna, this dissection between what is right and wrong, what is karma and phalam, automatically starts becoming more clearer to you. For example, right now you are not at all, and even I am not at all clear about what this world is all about. How can they call it as illusion? Just now I had my cup of coffee and they call it illusion. That is because my intellect hasn't expanded to that level, it has not reached that level from where it will look as an illusion. I'm still at the bottom. I have not yet reached the mountain peak. So similarly, when I am performing a particular act, a distinguishing line between the purva prarabdha and the current karma is difficult for us to distinguish because we are under confused state of mind. The intellect is not sharp and powerful enough. However, as I start exercising Yama and Niyama slowly and steadily, it gives me chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi is the biggest effect of chitta shuddhi is the intelligence becomes clear and powerful. And with clear and powerful intelligence, what normally I understand as a chitta shuddhi person, a person which chitta shuddhi is not there cannot understand. Let us take an analogy, you will understand it better. There is a concept in physics. The one who is in 10th standard understands it very easily, what is angle of refraction. But the one who is in 3rd standard is confused. What are they talking about? Incident ray and reflected ray and angle, because he is in 3rd standard. The intellect hasn't developed to that extent. Then what should be done? He should keep studying so that he reaches 10th standard and then he will realize it. So similarly, what is nishkama karma? What is freedom and free will? What is this yallabase nija karmo pate? We will presently, we have to believe in what the acharyas told, then keep working on our standards. Slowly increase the sattva guna, and then it is a revelation. One by one, you start understanding the things. And then you realize that, oh, this is what it was meant. That is why do you think Bhagavad Gita is understood? Everybody read it. Gurudeva read it. I also read it. You also read it. Did we all understand in one level, at one level only? No. That is because the reading intellect was different at different level. So what is the gist of the story? Keep purifying the intellect by performing Yama Niyama to the extent that is possible. Now, right now, suppose you have gone up to 4th standard, maybe in the next birth, you will not go to start again from 1st. That Bhagavan has already told in Bhagavad Gita. Yoga Bhrashta, he will start from the same point. So next birth, directly from 4th standard. So what happens? Next birth, you are born, right in the childhood, you start reading Bhagavad Gita. Tapovan Maharaj used to do every day entire recitation of Bhagavad Gita when he was in his school days. From where did it come? Earlier it was already done. So this is how it keeps unfolding in each birth and successive births. Hari Om.
Hari Om ji, that's very, very clear now. And I will, we have to do this, move on our intelligence and work on it and chitta shuddhi. The other allied concept with this is we talk about, when we look at the stages of life, right? So we have the 4 stages, and we talk about when you are in a, let's say, grihastha stage, or you're working and with family and this, and you're in the Vyavaharika world, you have to act according to Vyavaharika. And then there is, while we're acting, we are supposed to also keep in mind the larger perspective, which is the Shastra Gyan, right? And do what we have to do, but not, from what I took is, do not indulge, do not keep thinking about it, do not, go back to it, do not talk about it. It's an act which has to be done, and you finish doing it without lingering in thought, right? Is that because the Vyavaharika Gyan requires you to do different things, and and I come back because we all know Gandhiji was a very evolved soul, but should a evolved soul have been doing, living in that Vyavaharika and being a politician, or being the father of a nation when you're going through such a tumultuous period? Because it has changed the course of the country completely. When he was there, a lot of decisions would have gone either way. So that is the other question or clarification.
Yes. You have to remember one thing, that when you are in the Vyavaharika Vishwa, you have to be incognito as far as your spiritual aspect is concerned. For example, I can still say hello to you, maybe have a glass of food juice or a cup of coffee with you. That doesn't mean I'm involved in you. You may feel so, because for me, I have nothing to gain from you. I have nothing to give to you. We just accidentally met. When I'm traveling in the flight, there's somebody sitting besides me. That doesn't mean he becomes my friend. Similarly, in the Vyavahara, whosoever is in our contact, the immediate contacts, the peripheral contacts, and the abstract contacts, in all these places, you behave in a particular manner as expected as far as norms of the society are concerned. However, constantly keep the flame burning in the mind that the destination of mine is something completely different. Now, how do you juggle between these two roles? That is called as sadhana. What is sadhana? Sadhana is being immersed into the things you are trying to extricate yourself. And that is why, for that, you need to be constantly alert. Alertness itself is called moksha. Savad or daksha use tatkala moksha. Alertness. And alertness meaning my senses are getting involved. I must pull them back. So what do? I've got some work. I need to go. Actually, Vyavara Bhasha, what did you say? I need to go. I've got to attend to my wife or whatever. And actually what you're doing, you want to be away from that party because now the overindulgence has started. So this is the way you constantly, your children and wife comes and say, let's go to the movie today. Don't say that, sorry, I'm into sannyasa. No, you're already in grahastha. So do what? Let's go. So, and then do what? In the movie, close your eyes, keep thinking about Gurudeva. Who stops you? Your children are not going to open your eye and see whether you're watching movie or not. Now it appears very absurd, but remember one thing, there are lots of grahasthas who were realized souls. How did they do it? You carry on the things. How do you participate in children's game? Don't you participate in children's game? We do. At that time, are you not aware that you are an adult? You are aware. And are you not really participating so that they are enjoying? They're enjoying. This is exactly the same way. So you have to keep, like in case of Gandhiji, he was perhaps the best leader that we could ever have. Why? Because the highest ability to take a decision in the most intelligent manner and non-partial manner is possible only for a realized soul. And that is why whatever he did, howsoever you may criticize, you reinspect, ultimately you will come to a conclusion that was the best decision. Give you a small example. Kallenbach, Gandhiji's Jew friend from South Africa, who was with him since 1900. He was Jew, he was closest friend of Bapu, and he had given tons of wealth because of Bapu's influence. He came to India because of Bapu. Everything was so close, they were close friends. Yet, when it came to writing about Palestine issue in 1920, Bapu has written, please go through it. He did not write anything favoring Jews simply because he has a Jew friend. He wrote whatever was truth. That is why the beauty of such realized souls is, even in the Vyavahara, whatever they do is only true and truth. It can't be otherwise. That's why a realized sage does not make a mistake. You show me one mistake of Swami Vivekananda, show me one mistake of Gurudeva, there is no mistake whatsoever. If something appears as a mistake to us, it is our inability to grasp the significance. That is why when Ram sent Sita Mata under a false allegation by some washerman, our mind still says that how that is possible? That's very stupid. A poor lady was given injustice. Sir, it is beyond our understanding. From the current norms, it looks absurd. That is why what is absurd to you and me and wrong to you and me may be right in some other realm. That is why it is not so easy to call anything right or the wrong. That is why the concept of dharma is so much discussed in Bhagavad Gita. Hari Om.